last time I had a speaking engagement like this, they scheduled me at exactly the same time as the happy hour. So it's great to see more than 7 of you here. I'm really glad that you all made it out. So my role at Salesforce, I'm responsible for a number of teams that handle our inbound leads. We call them SDRs. Our outbound reps, we call BDRs. And Marc Jacobs, who's going to join me a little bit later on, he's the SVP of Sales at CB Insights. And he runs the whole sales teams there as well. And what we want to do together is talk a little bit about gaining a little bit more harmony with our sales and our marketing colleagues. Now, friction is nothing new between sales and marketing. It's always going to be there. You throw in sales development, and we add another layer of complexity. And I actually think that friction is very healthy, but sometimes it can be unhealthy. And what we want to try and have you come away with today is just some ideas on how to reduce some of that unnecessary friction. I want to take about the next 10 minutes to share a cautionary tale, one with a happy ending. It's a story about how we at Salesforce really learned to understand our business better, how to more effectively communicate with our sales and marketing colleagues, and how to achieve greater harmony as we work together. I'm then going to call Marc up on stage, and we're going to chat a little bit about his experiences at CB Insights and some of the experience challenges he's faced and how he solved some of those friction problems. So maybe you can help me out and finish the line here. But if you've been at a poker table for 20 minutes and you haven't figured out who the sucker in the room is, then the sucker is probably you, okay? I could tell you it took a lot less than 20 minutes last May for my SDR colleagues and I to figure out that we were the suckers in the room. We were having a quarterly business review with our sales and our marketing team, and we had what was by all accounts a good quarter. Marketing got up, and they shared that leads had increased. We got up, and we said we'd done a pretty good job, and our SDR-sourced ACV had increased. And sales got up and said they had a pretty decent quarter as well. But they paused a little bit, and they looked at us, and they said, but why didn't the SDR-sourced revenue increase at the same rate as the leads? We're not very happy with that. Explain that to us. And we kind of looked at each other and we weren't too sure how to explain that. And very quickly, the meeting turned into something like this. We were the suckers in the room all of a sudden because we couldn't quite effectively articulate why we had seen that softness in the sales. And so we left that meeting not feeling very good about ourselves. We felt we had actually had a pretty good quarter. We had executed quite well. The leads had gone up, but the sales were quite soft. But we felt that the leads had gone up, but the conversion rates weren't very high on those leads. The quality hadn't gone up. So we felt a lot of things, but we didn't know a lot of things. And that was really the turning point for us. We realized that we needed to get to know our business better in order to reduce some of that friction and reduce some of these looks on the faces of our business partners like that in some of our meetings. I get that look enough from my wife on a regular basis. I don't need to see it at work that much as well. So it really it triggered a turnaround for us. And we went on a bit of a discovery journey and learning about our business. And we kind of came up with a two-step process. We realized that we had to get to know our business better. If we didn't know our business, then our stakeholders didn't know our business either. And then once we got to know our business, we had to go out and educate them and align on the metrics that really mattered to reduce some of that friction. Now, knowing your business sounds like a pretty simple solution, but we're a really established sales development organization. We've been around for close to 20 years, and even last year, we weren't quite sure where we stood. I talked to dozens of customers in sales development, and I get the sense as well that they don't quite understand their metrics. And one of the reasons why this is really hard is that it's just too damn noisy out there. Even the sessions we've heard this morning and more great sessions that you're going to hear today, you're going to leave today with a ton of information up here. And you need to determine what's important to our business. So it's a really key fundamental exercise to strip away the noise and understand what's a key to your business. How do you measure the health of your business and your execution? So we came up with, hit the button again, there we go, a matrix of SDR execution that kind of fell in these 5 categories: the capacity, tenure, activity, leads, and responsiveness. And I'll go into those a little bit. So we're in the business of handling leads. And so are we drowning in leads, or are there enough people in the pool to manage all those leads? Now, we're an organization that has about 100% turnover on an annual basis, mostly due to promotion. So on any given month, we're losing almost 10% of our team. And so is our recruiting efforts in place to backfill them? Are our enablement efforts in place to ramp them up? So we're maintaining a level of skill and tenure to be able to manage all those leads effectively. Once we have the bums in seats, we've got to look at the activity. Now, there are 1,000 metrics you could look at when it comes to the inputs that your SDRs do. But for us, it's all about calls, connects, and flips. Now, a flip is our little term. I'm sure other people use it as well, but it's an opportunity created by an SDR, and it remains in stage 1 of our sales cycle until it's been validated by an account executive and moved into stage 2. So we look at this very closely because these are the things we can control, and this is how we can measure the health of our business. Now, you remember I told you that marketing was very happy with their lead increase in that Q1. Well, what we very quickly realized when we dug into it was that the leads that had increased, or where they found the increase, were in lead sources that just had a very low conversion rate. And when we dug in a little deeper, we in fact found that there were just 5 lead sources that generated 93% of our revenue. So to us, it wasn't just a matter of counting leads, or MQLs, or valid leads, but we also had to look at the lead source. And that was really the source of truth of us to understand like what was a good lead that we were counting. Now, 2 metrics that we really doubled down on last year were speed and persistence. It's been very well documented. InsideSales.com have a fantastic study that they put out, and we confirmed that using our own data as well and replicating that study. But we know that the faster we can respond to leads, the better chance we have of connecting and converting that lead. And persistence is important as well. The industry average is just over 1 contact per lead. We know that if we can work a lead up to 5 times, we see a consistent increase in our ability to connect. After 5 contacts for us, that tends to just plateau. So our SLA to marketing is that we're going to work their leads quickly and thoroughly in order to maximize our connect and conversion rates. So when we put all that together, we ended up with this matrix, an execution scorecard. You can see the categories on the left. You can see the metrics associated with those. You can see our attainment and our comparison against a target or the previous month. So we've had this scorecard, and we decided to go on a bit of a roadshow. We went to our colleagues in marketing, and we went to our colleagues in sales. And it wasn't as simple as going to 1 or 2 sales leaders. We have multiple segments, multiple industries, and we had to go to all of them to shop this around and to educate them about how we run our business and how we're going to measure, and to get their buy-in. To say that if we check off all the boxes on this execution, we're running our business effectively. And it was really critical to create that baseline and that understanding with them. While we were there, we also created an opportunity to align on some of the key high-level funnel metrics. We wanted to follow that lead from lead to close and understand that if something wasn't quite working, where was the leak in the bucket? Where could we quickly identify that? And again, we got the buy-in from all the market leaders and market segment leaders as well as the industries. So we found harmony. We were in the tail end of last fiscal year. We were having great monthly and quarterly meetings with sales and marketing. We built momentum throughout the year. And we had a really, really strong finish to the year. So our year ends January 31st. Fantastic celebration, wonderful year. Then February happened. And on March 1st, sales came running down the stairs, and they said, where the hell is our SDR sourced ACV? And we took a look, and it wasn't good. It was poor. And a year ago, we probably would have looked at that data and put our hands up and said, well, we're sorry, we'll do better next time. But because we had put these processes in place, we were actually able to very quickly identify where that leak in the bucket was. Lead volume was great. Marketing had done their job. The SDRs had actually done a pretty good job as well. They increased the number of opportunities that they had created year over year. Where we saw the huge dip was in the stage 1 to stage 2 conversion rate. And so we were able to really quickly identify that. So then we're trying to figure out the why. Well, February is the first month of the year, and like most other sales organizations, we often use that month to realign territories, to move things around. And this year, we made some bigger than usual changes. And so it took a little longer than usual for some of our AEs to get their patches. And that kind of creates a greater risk to those opportunities. They're more likely to either languish or to get deaded out. And so we realized that this sort of slightly extraordinary set of circumstances led to this big dip in revenue. The cool part was that we were actually able to identify exactly how much revenue was lost, so we could identify the opportunity. And because we had a really good grasp of our numbers, we knew that we had some spare capacity to throw at that problem. And so the happy ending here is that we put some initiatives in place, put some programs in place on ourselves to go after those lost opportunities, and we recaptured every single one of them by the end of the quarter. So we were really happy with that outcome, and it really helped, again, further enhance the relationship that we have with our sales and marketing leaders. A lot of the credit for this turnaround goes to my boss's boss, Jonathan Hunt. He runs our entire sales development organization, an amazing analytical mind, and he really helped us sort of hone in on what was important and how to measure the health of the business. And as you can see here, he was really happy with where we are and how we ended up. So summarizing, it is possible to achieve peace and love with your sales and marketing cohorts. But it takes a lot of hard work. And the one thing that I would encourage you is to get to know your business. It sounds easy, but it's quite challenging. And there's more and more and more noise out there that makes that a greater challenge. So understand your own business. And if you don't know your business, your sales and marketing colleagues don't either. And so you need to educate each other on how you measure business and what success looks like, how you measure the health of your business as well, and then align on those key metrics. So that's our cautionary tale. I want to invite Marc up on stage. We're doing pretty well for time, actually. Oh, thank you.
Hi, Jeremy.
Marc, good to see you.
Good to see you as well.
So tell us a little bit about CB Insights.
Sure, thanks. I appreciate you having me here today. So I do work at CB Insights. It's an awesome company. We aggregate and analyze massive amounts of data on private companies, and our platform helps companies make really big decisions, big strategic decisions, like what market they should be thinking about investing in, and if they're going to invest in that particular market, which private companies in those markets might they want to be partnering with or even acquiring.
Okay, great. So you joined the company, I think it was December of last year?
Yeah, I joined December last year.
Okay, so what were some of the challenges that you saw when it came to that stakeholder alignment?
Yeah, so sales and marketing alignment, when I was asked to present on that was quite intimidating because you see trouble with it all over the place, but it is a good story I have from a CB Insights perspective. We, at CB Insights, we don't struggle with generating leads. We're actually a lead generating machine.
It's a good problem.
Yeah, it is. We're fortunate. But there's other challenges that come from that, right? Like we have this great content that our research team's putting together, generating a ton of leads that actually do convert into MQLs, as well as a newsletter that we have over 250,000 subscribers. So we're getting a ton of leads, we're getting a ton of MQLs. The challenges that we faced was how to convert those MQLs, right? And we had a great process in place around the types of MQLs that were requests for demos, and then we have a ton of requests for basic trials of our product. And when they get past the lead scoring requirement to be an MQL, we have an inbound team that we call our market response reps. But the inbound team will work with those folks that are in the trial, try to give them a really good white glove experience. And the goal is to try to convert those MQLs to opportunities with an account executive. So that's good, but it's a lot. It takes a lot, and it's a lot of focus that team is working on. Where the challenge comes in is in the other types of MQLs, the more passive ones. We get a ton of content downloads, webinars, things like that, and they do get past the lead scoring. They are MQLs, but in order to convert them, there needs to be a lot more focus on those things. And because the MRRs that we have are so focused on all of these requests for trials, we needed to figure out a way to get the focus on there. And historically, what we've done is we've had it spread out among the outbound SDR team, and we have an outbound SDR team. They're aligned with the account executives on named accounts. And the challenge there with them handling the MQLs is that the SDRs, the outbound SDRs, are hitting their numbers. They're doing great at hitting their numbers, but we weren't getting enough opportunities in our named accounts, which obviously are the ones that we want the most. Mm-hmm. So that was a big challenge. The other challenge is really around just goals, alignment of goals. Marketing would get up and have huge amounts of MQLs. They crush their goals from an MQL perspective, from a lead perspective, but we've had historically very low conversion rates of those MQLs to sales qualified opportunities. So that was the other challenge that we were facing.
Yeah, it's always a challenge when one department is popping the champagne corks and the other one is sort of
I don't want to say they weren't popping the champagne corks.
So how did you go about sort of solving some of those challenges?
Yeah, so like a lot of other people have done, when you're trying to align cross-departmentally, we put together a really good, intensive mid-funnel task force that was committed and focused to making sure that we can solve this problem, not just solve it now, but continue to solve it. And that was made up of myself, our head of marketing, our head of sales ops, a couple of other folks on the sales team and marketing team, and we committed to each other that we were going to turn this thing around, fix this challenge, because we have all of these MQLs. They're sitting there, and we're not taking advantage of them. So we focused on making sure that we can together solve the challenge, and we did. First thing we started to look at is the definition of the MQLs. So we did a really intensive look at defining what the MQLs look like. More importantly, though, we specialized a role called MQL specialists. We'd started to do that when I was at Greenhouse, and I know that they've been successful doing that. Brought it into CB Insights, and those MQL specialists now are responsible for focusing on those more passive MQLs that are coming in that are not named accounts. So the SDRs, the outbound SDRs, are still getting the named MQLs that were coming in, but the non-name ones were now being round-robined among these MQL specialists who will focus on it, and they became this sort of bridge between sales and marketing.
That's great.
And then last thing, from a goal perspective, that was the most important thing, is that we aligned on what the goals should be. So we made sure that marketing was responsible for revenue, but most importantly, the two biggest KPIs that we focused on, the leading KPIs that we focused on every week in this task force, are MQL conversions to SQOs and SQOs themselves. Yeah. And we work on that on a weekly basis and then present it in a unified manner to the entire company every month.
That's great. I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head there, that there's never a lack of appetite to get along well.
Right.
And I think creating...
The intent's always there.
Exactly.
And
I think having a task force is really smart, because it's starting with that baseline. It's like, what are we defining?
Right.
How do we define things, and then how do we measure success?
Sure.
So what kind of success have you seen from that?
Yeah, no, it's been fantastic. It's only been a few months now since we've rolled this out. The outbound SDR team is still crushing their numbers, but all of the opportunities they're scheduling are in those named accounts. Then the goals themselves that we were focusing on, the MQL conversion rate went up 400%. Wow. Which is a huge number, but we also cut down the number of MQLs, but it's still a large improvement in the conversion rate, and the SQOs have gone up and continue to go up on a monthly basis.
That's awesome. Congrats.
Yeah.
So you joined CB Insights in December. You're a seasoned vet. Tell me about some of the other companies you work for where you may have also seen sort of a lack of alignment between sales and marketing, some of the lessons you learned along the way there.
All right. So I wouldn't say it was a lack of alignment. I would say it's just a lack of execution on the alignment more than just really the alignment. But at Greenhouse, we struggled with a lot of the same things and did a good job of solving it. Took a little while to solve it, but a great team there was able to solve a lot of those same challenges. When we think about those challenges, mostly what we were facing there was more around attributing where the lead was, whether an outbound rep was driving a prospect to go to the website, that sort of thing. But they solved it really well and doing well.
That's great. Well, congrats on accomplishing a lot in a small amount of time. I mean, you started December. and to kind of turn that around and to put together that task force and effectively solve those challenges is really great.
Yeah, I didn't solve it. The team solved it. Marketing team did a great job.
Excellent, excellent. So that's it for us two. We'd be happy to answer any questions that are out there. There are a couple microphones floating around if anyone had any questions about peace and love and all these wonderful things. Nope? Okay, well, we'll be around. Oh, yeah, we got one.
Hi guys, my name is Chris Boone. Marc, it's good to see you.
Hey Chris, how you doing?
I have a question. Let's say you take over a new team, you take a new role, senior director of sales, looking over a dozen or so SDRs, AEs. And there's maybe one or two people on the team that have tenure. They've been there 5 years, 7 years. The team likes them, they know everybody. Your gut says they're not strong. They've been shuffled around from position to position. And you feel like you're gonna hurt kind of the team spirit or culture if you let them go. How do you manage that? You know, what do you do after they've already kind of done the shuffle? Try different roles, your gut says it doesn't work, but the team really likes them.
Do you want to have a stab at that?
I'll take a stab at it. I don't think that's marketing and sales alignment, but okay. Yeah, it's tough. It's really tough. And you know, if there's one thing I learned, you know, over the last bunch of years, it's like you have to figure out what's best for that person as well. And from a culture standpoint, it may not be best for that employee to continue to work in that organization or in that role. And I think it's just about figuring out what the reason for that person not succeeding is. First, it could be that they're not working hard enough, which, you know, obviously that problem is, there's a way to solve that. But the second problem could be might not be giving them the infrastructure or support necessary to be successful. And if that's the case, then figuring that stuff out. And then finally, just talking to them to figure out what they think the reason is. And again, might be just time to cut the cord and say, you know, let's find a better opportunity for you, either in the organization or somewhere outside the organization.
Yeah, we have a saying at Salesforce, which is getting it done and doing it right. And we put equal value on those. And so we really, you know, we focus on the how someone accomplished something as much as what they accomplished. And so we champion the people who are getting it done and doing it right. And they may not necessarily be those top rock star performers, but what they're doing is scalable, and it's something that you can stand up as a role model to the rest of the organization. And as you champion those people, maybe not the seasoned vets, but the young up-and-comers who are doing the right things, we're recognizing that performance, and it kind of puts the squeeze on some of the older people. But yeah, definitely doing what Marc spoke about is critical as well. Another question?
Yeah, hi, Jeremy and Marc, thanks guys, appreciate this, it's been really good. A quick question for you, Marc, on your market response team. You said they respond to demo requests and trials. Do you have like a, what type of requirement do you put on the prospect for trials? Do they have to talk to those reps, or is it just a free download and the reps engage them? And then how do you goal and incentivize the market response team? Is it again, sales qualified opportunities, or how do you do that?
Yeah, so we get a ton of these requests for demos. So the only ones that actually get to our market response reps are the ones that have already passed the qualification criteria, the lead scoring criteria to become an MQL, right? So they are not required to speak to the MRR, the market response rep. The market response rep will try to be a resource to that person, reach out to the person in a cadence type of a way, give them this like white glove experience, try to make sure that they're doing all the right things, see if they're not going into the platform, into the right places, and more importantly, when they do hit some sort of a limit that we've given them for that trial, be able to be there to you know, convert them over to an opportunity. And they're measured based off of number of SQOs that they schedule. So qualified opportunities that they schedule. It's a little tougher because they're relying a little bit upon, you know, the amount that are coming in. But at this point, we have enough coming in that we know that they can convert that amount that we have as quota. Cool.
All right, so that's time. Thank you very much, everyone. Really appreciate your attention. Wish you all the best.